Today on In the Woodyard, I'm going to show you how to stack firewood, the fastest, easiest, simplest way to stack your firewood. Here we go. So there's a lot of ways that you can stack firewood. I used to stack all of my wood into either face cord rows or into full cord cubes or rectangles, or sometimes I would just stack 3 rows wide and then just keep going for a distance and then dividing them with pallets, which is a good way to do it. Now, a lot of people that don't have a lot of wood have maybe a face cord, a third of a cord, and all they want to do is have wood that's, organized, neat, clean, and stored in an area that's out of the way so it's not taking up a lot of space, which is, the main reason for stacking wood. A lot of people think is to dry it. Yes and no. Stacking wood is not necessary if the wood is off the ground. It dries just fine in these big piles like this. It gets plenty of air because it's actually not packed in tight. So when you stack wood, you're actually putting it tighter in a more of a small confined space. And by doing that, it's probably going to dry a little bit slower. Now, the main thing is, number one, keep it off the ground. The next thing is to put it in an area where you're going to get a lot of wind and sun on it. That's real important. Out in where I store all my wood here in these areas, I have wide open spaces. We're kind of on a little bit of a crest here, so it gets a lot of wind, a lot of sun. There's no trees, there's no shade, and all of my wood is just put into these big bins here because I have large volumes and I don't want to have to stack hundreds and hundreds of cords of wood. So I just put it in these big bins like you're seeing behind me here now. For those of you that want to stack their wood, whether it's in your garage or next to your garage or in your backyard or wherever, there's a lot of different ways to do it. You can have racks that you put your wood into, and a lot of people will buy the commercial metal racks that are 8 feet long by about 3.5 feet high, and then they can go a little higher with it, and they can stack wood in those and keep it out of the way. But if you've got a lot of wood, you're probably going to want to put it in an area that's not going to take up as much space, especially for those of you that heat with wood. You're going to want to put it either in a wood shed possibly, or onto pallets, or a way that you can have your wood so that it's in a confined, smaller area. Now, a lot of the wood that I process gets put right into a trailer like this, and then we back up to a bin and we just chuck it in. Some of the wood that we do gets put into totes like this, so it's off the ground and in a cage so that it can dry. But most of the time I put it in a bin like this, where it's just pallets on the ground and then pallets on the sides that hold it together. And one of my big bins is like this one you see right over here. This has got over 50 full cords in it. So it is a very large pile that we make, and it dries just fine like that. But that's because I have a lot of space. Now, if you don't have a lot of space and you want it neat and clean and organized and looking very pretty, I'm going to show you some easy ways that you can stack your wood and keep it in a confined, smaller area, say like in your garage, side of the garage, backyard, wherever you're going to do. So here we go. So the first thing I'm going to do is to show you how to stack between T-posts. Pretty simple. You put T-posts, metal ones here, 8 feet apart, and then put some runners underneath it so the wood is not on the ground. Now you can use green tree wood if you want, 2x4s, or you can use pallets, or you could use, you can put rock down if you want, for that matter, long as it's well drained. You just don't want the wood to be on the ground, and some people think it's fine on the ground, but they're wrong. Wood will wick moisture up from the ground, especially softwood, and especially wood that is like this, which is birch. Birch will rot if it gets wet, so does box elder. Red oak in particular is a very porous wood that wicks moisture up from the ground. White oak, however, doesn't, which is what they make ships out of, the old type ships, because it does not absorb the water, but it does take longer to dry. So we're going to pound these in, and we're going to put them 8 feet apart, and then we're going to put some runners down, stringers down, whatever you want to call them. It's basically a base. We're sacrificing some wood on the bottom to keep it off of the ground. So that's what we're going to do. So the first T-post we're going to put right here. We're on the edge of the soybean field here, so we still want to be able to have the guys that can harvest it here. So I do have a driver. If you don't have a driver, you can just use a sledgehammer or the back end of a splitting maul. But we're going to drive this in. I'm going to put the flat side to this direction because the wood's going to be up against this. Now I know of guys that use these T-posts and they just string them for the whole backside of their property. They just go every 8 feet, so they know how much space they have in between as far as how much wood they're going to put in there. Then they just go 4 feet high, and they just go row after row after row after row of face chords or thirds of a chord, and they know exactly how much wood they're going to have. And then I know of one guy in particular that I see, he does single rows like that, and then he puts a space that's basically big enough so that a cat could walk between the rows, so it's maybe 4 or 5 inches. Then he does another row and another row and another row. So basically you're going to get airflow and it can breathe. So the more space you give it, the better. Now I've gone as wide as 7 rows wide, packed tight, and the wood is dry just fine. However, the middle rows definitely dry slower, which is why I believe a long time ago somebody made the decision and discovery that 3 rows wide, tight together, 8 feet long, which is a full chord, so 4 feet by 4 feet by 8 feet is a full chord, and it dries really good like that. And it's a nice measurement that you know what you've got. So we're going to drive this puppy in right now. Here we go. There we go. She's in. Now we're going to do another one 8 feet this way. So this one right here is the one we just drove in. It is let's see how high we got. I went down to where the brace piece is in there. Look at that. That's 48 inches. We got about 2 inches to spare, so it's about 50 inches. So we got to go just below this right here. Now, if I was to have a shorter T-post and it was only 3 feet high, still can use this. You just got to do some crisscrossing on your pieces on the end to get it to 4 feet. Now, I'm going to stack this to the 50 inches. And the reason I'm going to do that is this wood is green. It was freshly cut. And the wood will shrink. You will lose a little bit. So I generally will go at least 50 to 52 inches when I'm stacking it with green fresh wood. And the reason is it will dry and it will settle down to about 48 inches, which is what you want. Because I'm selling the wood, I'm trying to get my measurements as close as I can. So we're gonna go out 8 feet here from where I just was. 8 foot is right here. So I'm gonna mark a spot in the dirt so I know right there's 8 feet. And then we're going to take this T-post. I'm going to run this way. Now this is a little bit different kind here. It's a little bit flimsier because I have a variety of them. So we're going to pound this one in next, and this one's a little longer too, so. There we go. She's in. Let's measure this one now. I did pound this one in a little farther. I think it's going to be about 50. My guess is 53 inches. 53 and a half is my guess. I'm wrong. It's 52. Good enough. 52 inches will work. Now the next thing I'm going to do is right underneath the camera here, I have some stringers. Now I got these from a store that sells furniture. These are crates that they pack in. Now you could just use a 2x4 or a couple 2x4s, or you could use you can use anything you want, but it's going to go right there. And then I've got some other ones that I already cut, smaller pieces, because that's not long enough. We're going to put this one right over the top here, and then we're going to put this one right over the top of that one, because we're eventually going to go that direction anyway. So there you go. I'll show you what this looks like. Okay, so here's the first T-post I put in, and the stringer, it's 2 of them, so you can see they're just stacked, one on top of the other. One would probably be fine, but a little bit higher off the ground is good. Now, that is going to take away from my height. I forgot that part. So basically, I'm right now probably 3 inches off the ground, so I am going to have to go just a little bit above this. I'll measure from the pallet, from right here, all the way to the top of the pile as I stack it. But there you go. It's that simple. And like I said, you could do this on gravel as long as it's off the ground and not on dirt. Dirt is your enemy because it'll have moisture in it and it will wick it up. It will wick moisture from the ground. So off the ground is better. You're going to get a little airflow underneath it. So if you go up a little bit, that's a good thing. And like I said, you could just put a couple 2x4s down is all you would need. So there you go. So that's one way. We're going to stack this one down. I'm going to show you this next way after that. All right, so I have brought my splitter over here. This is an Easton Made Ultra. For those of you that are new to the channel, it's a kind of an entry-level commercial splitter. It's very fast. It's got a 4-second cycle time. It's got a Honda engine on it. The whole thing weighs a little, I don't know, around 800 pounds, something like that. So I can wheel it around myself without having to have machinery to move it. I've got a removable tongue that goes on the front, and I got a little cart, little dolly that I can pull it around with, so it works really good. Now, for some of you are going to say this is expensive. Others of you are going to say that's a cheap splitter. Because it's an entry-level commercial splitter, it's about $5,000, give or take. If you want to check it out, you can. Go to Easton Made wood splitters, Easton Made processors, and you'll see it on the website there. It's got a 4-way wedge. I also have a single wedge. The wedge is adjustable up and down, so I can make 4 pieces at one time, one pass. I have put thousands of cords of wood through the splitter, and it works just excellent. Now, when it comes to commercial splitters, you can spend as little as $4,000 or $5,000 like this, all the way up to $20,000, even $30,000 for a commercial grade splitter. For those of you that are just doing your own wood for yourself, for your own purposes, you don't need something this nice. Although you can, there's guys that do. A lot of times guys will have just what I call a box store splitter, somewhere around $1,000. A splitter that will split wood and it'll be just fine. But I'm selling wood, so I want something I can do a lot of production with, and this is the machine that I chose, and it works great for me. So what I'm going to be doing is taking bigger chunks like this, because this one here is just a little too big for what I want. My customers want smaller wood for their fireplace and fire pits. They don't want great big huge chunks, because most of the people I sell to are people burning wood in the fireplace. So they want wood that is manageable with one hand. So basically stuff like this. Stuff this size right here is what they want. They want to be able to pick it up with one hand. And so the stuff that's this size, I will be putting right onto the stringers or runners here. So I will just grab this stuff and it'll get stacked immediately right onto the pallets, and I won't re-split it. But the bigger ones, I will be splitting these in half, a lot of them. So I'll take a lot of this stuff that's this size that I can pick up with one hand, no problem, and it'll just go right onto the stringer and just butt it up tight, and we'll just fill this right up is what's going to happen here. Now, for those of you that have wood that you need to stack, this is the easiest way to do it, I think. Just put it on some stringers and go between 2 posts. It's fast, easy, and efficient. You can get these pretty much at any box store that sells landscaping type stuff or construction materials. You can get T-posts. I don't know what they cost. $5, $6, $7, something like that a piece. A lot of times people have them at rummage sales. You can get them for $1 or $2, 50 cents even. I bought a lot of them at rummage sales for like 50 cents. So if you don't have that, I'm going to show you another way when we get done with this. So we're going to start the splitter up. We're going to split a bunch of this and put it right into here. This is a dump trailer, so I will be tipping this up and the wood will come right to me, so it's not going to be on the ground. I can just grab it right here and then stack it just like this. I just grab it and stack it. And that's what I'll do for most of it, but some of the bigger stuff will get resplit. So we're going to do that right now. Look what I have created. It is 8 feet long, and I think I just measured it was 51 inches high from the top of the pallet. Yeah, 51 inches on this end, and down here from the top of the pallet it's 50 inches, and right here it says it is 52 inches. So it will shrink a little bit. This is green wood, fresh cut, very wet, so this stuff will shrink down a couple inches, which is why I usually go 50 to 52 inches high if I'm measuring a pile stack, so I know what I've got. But if you're burning for yourself, you really don't need to measure. It doesn't matter. Whatever you've got, you've got. I mean, you get a general idea. I did this just for demonstration purposes. So now, one of the things that I would do if I was to stack like this again, which I don't anymore, I just did this for demonstration, is I would pull a piece out right here, I would pull a piece out right here, and I would pull a piece out right here, like that. I would put another set of stringers down, another post here, and then I would stack a whole nother row next to this and then have wood sitting on top of these, and it ties these together by having these pieces stick out like that. It makes the pile much more solid because this does have some wobble to it, and that's one of the reasons why if you do a full cord where you've got 3 rows like this, 16-inch pieces, 4 feet wide, 4 feet high, 8 feet long, it's nice and solid. It's not going to tip over. However, if you stack your wood in the wintertime and you've got frozen ground, if you're in the northern part of the United States or northern Europe, wherever you are where it freezes, what will happen, it can happen anyway, if you're not perfectly level and you don't do this just right, you can have the sun hit your south side in the spring of the year and it'll get soft, especially if you get a lot of moisture, a lot of rain or melting snow. The north side will stay nice and frozen, and then it'll start to sag on the side and the whole pile can tip over on you. I've had that happen. So don't be that guy. So the next thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go right next door here. And right here, I got another set of stringers down right here. And it is 8 feet from right here down to where I got this stick right here. So what I'm gonna do on this roll, I'm gonna do a whole nother row here. We're gonna move the trailer over, gonna split these bigger chunks that I have sitting on the splitter here, and we're gonna stack a whole another row here. Now on this section, I'm gonna do this differently. I am not gonna use the T-post, even though normally I would just put it up against it and be done. But I'm gonna show you guys how to crisscross the corners back and forth, right on the ends, so that you can go up as high as you need to go. It'll be nice and solid, and you don't need any posts at all. So we're gonna show you that next. Here we go. Okay, I just repositioned everything. I moved the trailer over, I moved the splitter over. I got this area right here that I'm gonna fill. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split some of these bigger pieces and start with the crisscrossing, and I'll show you a close-up view of what that looks like as I go. Because basically what you do is you just go every other piece side by side. You do 2 at a time, back and forth. And we do that on both ends, and we can go up to the 4 feet, and then we just stack everything else in the middle of it. So don't need any posts or anything. So that's what we're gonna do right now. Got ear protection. I'm gonna start up the splitter because it is a little loud. Okay, so I split some of the bigger stuff down just a little bit. There's more in there that needs to be split, but I just thought I'd get a little pile here so I could start showing you the crisscross method. So I'm gonna show you kind of a close-up how it works on both ends. Same technique. Okay, so the easiest way to tell you to do this is to have flat pieces, similar size pieces. So you put the flat side down, take another one that's similar, flat side down. This has got a little rock to it, so it's not necessarily the best one. So we're gonna grab a different one. I'm gonna pull this one out. And see there, it's nice and flat. Now that one doesn't rock, this one doesn't rock. Well, this one rocks a little bit. So we're gonna still be okay with that one. And we're gonna put this one here, and then we're gonna get another one that's somewhat similar, which looks like this one right here. And you wanna put the high side to the outside so that you get it wider apart. Because if I was to put this inside, you got a narrower spot here. So you got overhang that slopes down. So you want your higher spot to be on the outside like this. So it's in general what you do. And I could also put another piece right in the middle here because it fits. So you can always go like that. So that'll kind of stabilize it a little bit. So then we're going to take another one from over here. Again, I'm going to try to find similar pieces. We're going to go outside with the high side right there. And then outside again with the high side right there. That's not too shabby. And you don't know until you try it because it will change on you. Again, I'm going to put a couple pieces in the middle here just so it's bumping up against it, and put another one right there. So again, you can go like this, or you can just go 2 across, but by putting pieces in the middle, it stabilizes a little better. Here, we're going to do another one. Let's go like this, high side to the outside. Let's give this a little pull in here. There we go. I'm going to take this one. We're going to go over here. And this one's too high compared to that one, so we're going to take this one off. I'm going to try that one. Let's go. Yeah, something like that will work. And then we're going to go over here with this one we just rejected. We're going to put that to the inside because it's higher, and it's kind of lower on this end, higher on that end. So we're going to probably level it out now pretty easily. So we're going to put this one over here. This birch is not a good example because you get all that bark sticking up, so it's kind of not really good for stacking. This one we're going to put over here, and then we're going to put another one over here. And just because we can, I'm going to put a piece in the middle here, and we're going to slide one on the inside underneath here. Kind of help stable that off. And now I noticed it's rocking just a little bit. I'm going to slide another one here. So I get a little rocking. You guys can see that, how it's rocking? So I can see where it's starting to rock is way down on the bottom. So I'm going to stabilize it underneath there. So all I'm going to do is take a chip of wood like this. I'm going to stick it underneath on the bottom down here. Just going to lift this up, give that a little shove in. That's a little better. It's got a little bit of a lean to it, so we're going to pull this whole thing this way. Try to get it square top and bottom all the way around so it's getting better. Now it's probably about high enough right there. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take pieces and start putting them here to stabilize this whole thing. So what will happen is these pieces on this end here will tighten up on the far end. So we're going to put these down like this, and you try to put them in fairly tight so they're up against each other. This one's going to fit right down in this hole here, right there. And then I think we can take another flat one. I can stick it right against there. There, now it's getting a little more solid. I'm going to put another one out here. Again, I'm going to put the flat side down. And there are wars that have been fought over whether you put bark up or bark down. I don't think it matters. And I know some of you are going to say it does, but I don't think it does. I don't think it dries any better. The only thing I think you can gain by having your bark up is it creates kind of a natural barrier for moisture so the water can run off. But I don't worry about that because I'm turning my wood over every year, so I'm not worried about long-term storage. If you are, maybe you go bark up. I don't know. Some guys say it dries better if you expose the inside of the wood to the sun and the wind instead of having the bark as a protectant. So they think it dries faster. So because no one can agree, do both. That's my opinion. Okay, so we're getting this built up a little bit and we're tying it in pretty tight. It's a bigger one, so we'll put that one down there. And then on this end, we're just going to keep going up a little higher here with these pieces. And again, this is all the harder it is. You just stack them in. It's kind of like a little jigsaw puzzle. You try to fit the pieces as tight as you can. If you get a high one, you got to kind of counteract it with another one that's higher on the opposite end. So now we're up to where my other stack was. And see how it's getting, I'm pushing on it pretty hard. It's getting pretty nice and solid now. So it's going pretty good. So we're going to put another one over here. And I'm going to walk down here and grab a couple other flat pieces. That's where I've got flat ones. And this one's too high, so we're going to switch this one out, put this one over here. I'm going to turn this one around. Yep, it's more stable right there. I've got kind of a high one here, so I'm going to stick a piece underneath over here. I'll show you how I do that. Just grab a piece like this and go underneath over here. See how this is rocking? So we're just going to put this underneath here. I'm going to grab a bigger one, pull that one out, and then stick this one in here. So basically, there, it's solid now. So the next thing I'm going to do is go a little bit higher with that. So I'm going to grab, again, some flatter pieces. This one's pretty nice and flat. This one's flat-ish. We'll go that way. If we go this way, it rocks too much. And we'll go right there. That's pretty good. I'm going to grab a couple more of these and put one on this end, one on this end. And then I think we're going to grab, let's put this one right in here. That's kind of ugly. We're going to put this one right inside of there. This one inside of there. What you don't want to do is have the middle be higher than the outside. So I'm going to shove this one over. There we go. So now this is higher here. I don't know. I'm not liking that. So we're going to go a little tighter with this one. Stick this one down here. And we're going to take another one and we're going to go right here. That's really high. So I'm going to put another one right next to it like this. Come over here. And again, the more you do this, the better you get at it. Same thing as anything else. The more you do anything, you're going to get better at it. There, it's getting better, a little more solid. And then we're going to build up down on this end again. So I'm just going to keep adding down here and go up higher, and then we're going to eventually get to the 8-foot mark, but I'm going to stop before I get there because what I want to do is do my other end that's like this down on that end, and then I'm going to fill the middle in. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, so I split a few more pieces with the splitter, and I'm going to start right here because this is the 8-foot mark, and this bark is definitely in the way. Turn this way. And we'll put another flat one right there. We'll put a little guy in between them. And then we're going to take another one like this, go out here. Put this one out there. So right now I'm at the 8-foot mark right here. I'm actually about 2 inches over, but that's okay. You get the idea. I'm going to put this one in the middle. And then we need another bigger one for right here. And then we're going to take another little one in the middle there. Just firm that up. And then we're going to take this one and go here. Turn that like that. Basically, by rotating the pieces, you'll find the flattest spot for stacking, or what's going to work best for the actual pieces that you have now. Like I said before, this birch is not the best stuff for stacking. Something like red oak would be way better because it splits really flat and even, and you can make pieces that look more like this which is what you really want for stacking. More like almost like dimensional lumber. That's the stuff that stacks really good. You put it on there and it doesn't move, so that's the good stuff. So let's put this one here. Take another big one here. Yeah, it's working pretty good so far. And again, I'm looking all these over and just looking to see what we've got for shapes. And if it looks like an odd one, I just stick it down below right away. That one will work there. This one goes there nicely. This one goes there nicely. And I think we'll go to the outside with that one. And that's a little tip, they don't like it, so we'll go back down here. Let's see if we can grab another flat one here somewhere. Yeah, this is an odd one here, so put that one down in there so it can tie in, because it's got a knot sticking out of it. I'll turn this one to the inside here, like that. This one right there. I got a little open spot where I can stand here. And there and there. Like I said, the corners are the part that takes the most time and it's the most critical. You get the corners good, the rest of it's going to be good. There we go. That's pretty nice and flat there. I'll put this one over there. I got a good one here. And looks like we got that there. There we go. That's pretty flat there. Put these two next to each other there. Yeah, we're getting pretty solid there. That's not bad. Put another one in tight here. And again, you want to get these as tight as you can up against that because it'll solidify the whole pile. And right now I'm just kind of sticking these in here just to kind of make the whole thing get tighter on both ends. And again, normally I would stack this right out of the dump trailer. However, I had some big stuff I needed to split, so I tipped it up and I just let it fall down as I was splitting because I had a bunch of big ones in there. And now these are more manageable size, the size that I like and my customers like. Not so big that you can't pick them up. There we go. And again, just try to find an open spot and fill it. Try to find a need and fill it. There we go. It's tightening up pretty good now. That bark is nasty. And it was great for fire, but for stacking, it's like skin that hangs on there, all curled up and hard, nasty crap. There we go. So now we got 8 feet wide, and we got a good start on it. So we're gonna move some of the stuff so I don't trip on it. Now I'm gonna try to square up this other end and build it up to the 4 foot mark. Now that we got this kind of filled in pretty nicely here, so I'm gonna start bringing over some flat ones. Kind of hand picking them, the ones that I think are gonna be good for the end here. And if they're not, then I just set them down into the middle. That's a good one there. I can go there. I can go there. I need a big one for the end piece. This one looks like a good one right here. Or this one. One of these two should work. Yeah, that's going to work good right there. Okay, I got a little wobble going here. So I got a little gap here I got to fill. So I'm going to take a chunk like this. I'm going to stick it down in this corner where I got the wobble going here. So basically, I try to find a spot where it's loose. And just shove this in. And get it so I get rid of the wobble. And this end's a little off, so give it that little push. There we go. So yeah, you want it to be as square as you can get it. Front, back, and on the end. You want it to be square as you can get it. There we go, that's pretty nice. I'm gonna build this up a little bit more right here on this end. So I can make it a little tighter. I gotta find a sliver piece. There's one. So what I want to do, I shove this in here. There's a hole right here. See if I can get that in tighter. Not really. Need another one just like it. Here's one. Here's another one. So we're going to shove this in here. Basically, just try to get it as snug as you can. It's still not enough. I'm just going to pull this one out and then shove this one under. Yeah, it's better. There we go. There it is. So here's how the end is. It's just crisscrossed every other one, all the way up and down. You can put pieces in the middle. It makes it more solid, I find, if you put middle pieces in like that. You can leave it open and it'll breathe better, but being that it's out in the sun and wind and it's just one row, it's going to dry just fine. So you can see there's 2 face cords or 2/3 of a cord there, and it is 51 to 52 inches all the way across, and it goes downhill that way to this first one that we stacked. Here's the post for the first one, and then crisscrossing on this end again too. And if you look from the top, you can see that this is pretty darn square, pretty much straight down here and straight down here, which is what you want to do, is get it as square as you can. And there's some pieces that are just a little longer than others, and there might be some 16.5 and 17 inches, and then there might even be some 15 inches. But on the processor, it generally cuts everything 16 inches, so that's what it should be. And there it is. So 2 ways to stack. That's the one with the posts on the end, the T-posts, and this one is just crisscrossing. Anybody can do this, and like I said, make sure that you've got it nice and level. Make sure you've got the wood off the ground. That is the main thing. So there it is. That is it for today, folks. Tomorrow, come on back. We're going to stack some more wood. I think I'm going to do a full cord tomorrow, so come on back. It'll be fun. Between now and then, go to my channel. There's over 1,100 videos all about firewood waiting for you to watch right now. It'd be great if you went and watched a bunch of them. Good night, Irene.